welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore. This is Andrew Kramer. We just got done with the Vikings practice Wednesday from Winter Park. We're going to talk a little bit about injuries in this video, but Andrew and I kind of want to fast forward past that to look ahead to this Detroit Lions game Sunday at home, which we think is looking like a pretty winnable game for the Vikings, given everything they've been through. That might seem surprising. They're getting Teddy Bridgewater back. We'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about some of the keys to what the Vikings have to do to score points against that stout Lions defense. Andrew, first of all, given all of the setbacks and things that the Vikings have had this season, you know, they're too long to list. Kind of amazing that they're entering this sixth week with a chance to be 500 against the Detroit Lions.
After the tough start, that they had, not only on their schedule, but with just all the crap with all the stuff that happened, obviously, with Adrian Peterson.
You could say crap.
With Adrian Peterson's situation, losing Brandon Fusco, obviously, losing Kyle Rudolph, two guys that you extended to 5 long-term contracts, I believe 5-year deals, that you obviously wanted to focus on those guys and have those guys be focal points of your offense going forward. To be without all three of those players and to still be on the verge of 500 at 3-3, which would tie you for the division lead in the NFC North, depending on what Chicago does this week. Huge upgrade and really a surprise to what you would think this team would be at. So going into this game, the Lions could be without Calvin Johnson and Reggie Bush, which could really stifle Matthew Stafford and what they want to do offensively. That Detroit Lions offense line doesn't really protect anybody. They think they've allowed the second most sacks in the league so far. The Vikings pass rush could really try to get revived in this game, get after Matt Stafford, and really cause some issues. So I think this is a very winnable game. We've already had our own Judd and Mackey pick the Vikings to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win, but the point is that this is a game that they should contend in at home with Bridgewater back, even though they have all those missing pieces in their offense. Against a very stout Lions front, as Derek mentioned, I could still see them sneaking away with a victory.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, is that front four, obviously anchored by Ndamukong Suh. What challenges does that present to the Vikings, whether it's on the offensive line or maybe even on the quarterback? Because we saw Bridgewater was a lot better at sensing some of that pressure than Christian Ponder was in his one game against the Packers at Lambeau. Even with all that being said, what challenges will those guys present? Yeah,
the 6 sacks you see on the box score from the Green Bay game, that's a little misleading because really half of those I put on Christian Ponder, just whether taking the wrong step in the pocket or holding on to the ball too long or them being coverage sacks, whatever it is. The Vikings offensive line did not allow 6 sacks. So you hear those numbers and then you hear the Detroit Lions defense and you think, wow, this is going to be set up for a bad matchup. But not only are you getting Teddy Bridgewater back, which allows you then the offensive line some more time because he can actually avoid defenders with his feet. He seemed in his one start to have better pocket presence in terms of knowing where defenders were coming from. Now, that's tough to tell against a pretty terrible defensive front in Atlanta.
Yeah, but you're not setting a high bar with Ponder's pocket presence.
No, you're really not. So again, I think signs are trending, or at least points are going toward the Vikings here when it comes to just where these teams are at with Detroit and Minnesota. So I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, to see them come away with a victory here. But to do that, you need to have Vlad DeCoste and Charlie Johnson and, of course, Senator John Sullivan in the middle there to hold down Nick Fairley and Ndamukong Suh, who really cause a lot of trouble for opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vikings might be getting some players back this week. We're not 100% sure. We know they're going to get back Bridgewater, at least all signs are pointing that way. Bridgewater said so. Zimmer said so. We think they'll probably get back Harrison Smith. Mike Zimmer said as much in his press conference Wednesday morning. What about, so first of all, status update on Harrison Smith, and what about weak side linebacker Chad Greenway? What do you think about those two guys?
Yeah, it's quarterback Josh Robinson said it best. He said, Harrison's the guy we're definitely going to need for this game. Just even if they don't have Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate is another receiver that the Lions added that really presents a downfield threat. He's actually 5th in the NFL in receiving yards after 5 weeks, which catches a lot of people by surprise, including me, to see somebody like that who was really just a kind of an unveiled threat in Seattle, a once-in-a-while guy, to come then with Detroit and make the impact that he's made. It's really been impressive. So as Josh Robinson said, we're going to need Harrison Smith in this game. And if they have to start Andrew Sendejo and Robert Bland at safety, that could present some troubles for an offense, for a defense that's trying to stop an offense that likes to stretch the field. So Harrison Smith and Chad Greenway, both may be questionable. They both didn't practice today. They worked with Eric Sugarman on the side, just doing some rehab stuff. But as you said, Zimmer was optimistic about Harrison Smith's chances of playing and really it was surprising to me to see Harrison Smith jog into the locker room after the last time we saw him was in a walking boot with his sprained left ankle. So it really seems to be that he's progressed with that injury.
Well, and with Greenway, too, we talked, is it still the hand with Greenway? And Zimmer said, it's really more in the ribs. And so he's got I think it's 2 broken ribs and a displaced rib, if I understand correctly. The displaced one might even be broken, too. I'm not certain on that. But with Greenway's injury, I asked him, is this different from last year where you played with a broken wrist and it was sort of a pain tolerance thing where if you thought, hey, I can play and I can stand the pain, you can get out there. And he said, no, I mean, this is the same thing. It's as soon as I can tolerate that pain enough to do my job well, then I'm going to be back out on the field. So, I mean, I'm still not sure Chad Greenway will play this week. He certainly looks more questionable than what Harrison Smith looks like. I think I'm expecting Smith to play at this point. We might still be another week or so away from Greenway, but they haven't taken a huge step down with Gerald Hodges on the weak side linebacker. I didn't think. He missed some tackles in, was it the Green Bay game, where he really got exposed a little bit, but I guess, I don't know. How big of an impact do you see Chad Greenway having?
Well, obviously, he's just the veteran presence, being able to make those in-game adjustments, the things that he sees that younger linebackers don't. That obviously, there's the intangibles to it that we don't necessarily see on the field. But you're right, Gerald Hodges has made some impressionable moments. At least had some good tackles, good plays for a second-year linebacker that I wasn't expecting out of him. However, there are lapses in his play that you see over 60 plays when he's in an entire game. And so they'll certainly be helped when Chad does come back. But however, if Detroit doesn't have Reggie Bush and they're just limited to Joique Bell, who's not a bad back, but he's not necessarily scaring anybody like Eddie Lacy did, I think they're better served still having Gerald Hodges healthy, not having to hold anything back as Chad has had to do if he was playing injured.
Well, and Hodges had a better game against Atlanta than he had against the Packers, right? I mean,
he did. Well, nobody
tackles.
Nobody had a good game against the Packers and Eddie Lacy. The biggest thing was Brian Robinson talked about it today. They want to just go back to the basics and basically go back to the drawing board with these 10 days off. And so we'll see how it plays out this week. But point being that the injuries for Detroit point to it being a favorable matchup for the Vikings.
We'll talk plenty about this matchup on the Purple Podcast that we're about to record. Got all the podcast equipment set up. If you're interested in that, check it out on the show page. Go up to the top of the page here, click on shows, and you can just drag down to Purple Podcast. We've got all our archived episodes. We'll be previewing the Lions-Vikings game here in about a minute if you're ready to record it, Andrew.
I think I am.
For Andrew Kramer, I'm Derek Wetmore. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com. Keep checking back for all your important Vikings updates.